Hi. Okay, so I think we're on. All right. So yeah, this is you've got the first part of the video where I talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I talk to you about both the assignments, and here what I'm asking you to work on your, which was the first question when you had to look at Sir Ken Robinson's speech, and you had to hear the speech, and you have to, on the basis of what you hear, you got to map it out into Monroe's motivated sequence. All right. So having said that, I'm going to talk to you about what this Monroe's motivated sequence is all about. All right. So I will right now. One second here. I would like to go to your class and um, one second here. And Toolman, no. Here we go. Share this. Um, One second. Yeah, I'm there in your class. All right. And okay. Okay. I'm getting into your class. So give me a second here. I'm actually going to do it with you here. So I'm here in your class and I'm getting into week 5. We are currently on week 5 discussion forum, and I get into discussion board and I go scroll as far as I can till I can't scroll anymore because we are in week 5 for persuasive speech. And I think I told you which discussion question 1. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. So you can see, class, that I have posted a YouTube video about what is Monroe's motivated sequence, and I'm also going to talk to you about it. Okay. So let me just cue this a little bit and make sure it is available for you. And this is what you're going to watch. All right, here we go. The last one is all right. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so this is what I'm going to tell you about Monroe's motivated sequence. You are prepping for a persuasive speech, and for a persuasive speech, there are several models. If you've read your chapter 19, you'll see that there's so many models that we can use to persuade an audience. And when I say model, what I mean is, how do you organize your speech? What are the things? It's like a template. Okay, when I say the word model, it's like a template for you that you can follow in order to create a persuasive speech. Okay, so this template that has been created for you has been done by a professor from Purdue University. His name is Alan Monroe, and he basically, just to give you a little bit of a background, he did find sales talk, the way a sales pitch is done. He found that very helpful, and he said that, hey, this is so cool. This works to at least it persuades me, the format that they have, that is persuasive, and it works well. So why not adopt this model into a speech? Because this seems to be pretty user friendly. It has wide application, and it is something that anybody can do. So that's how he developed this model, which is called Monroe's motivated sequence. Of course, he gets bragging rights because his idea and his product. So again, it is after him. It's called Monroe's motivated sequence. So what does the sequence have? As you can see, it has few steps. It has the attention step, step 1. Step 2 is the need step. Step 3 is satisfaction. Step 4 is visualization. Step 5 is the action step. So he says that if you use these 5 steps in your persuasive speech, you will be able to persuade the audience. And again, I'm going to say that this is not the only template for persuasive speech. You have several of them. Okay, there is elaboration likelihood model. There's this, then the ethos, logos, pathos is of course there. If you have these 3 elements and you use it well in your speech, you will be able to persuade an audience. This is again given by Aristotle, no one other than Aristotle in his book. Did I show you all this book? Okay. this is the book that I keep referring to. It says The Rhetoric, and this is all about, how persuasive and how you can persuade any audience. So yeah, so that's ethos, logos, pathos is there, elaboration, likelihood model is there, cognitive dissonance theory is there, and Monroe's motivated sequence is also there. Apart from more templates that you can use. But for the to make it simple in this class, because we'll have our next speech is a persuasive speech, I will ask you to use Monroe's motivated sequence. I'll ask you to use that template for your speech, okay? So I'm going to discuss that today in class. And so I did talk to you about the 5 steps. So this is what the 5 steps are. The first step is, as I mentioned to you, is the attention step. This is not going to be anything different for you, because you guys have done that in your informative speech. You need to get the attention of the audience, right? So so this is no different. You need to get the attention of the audience. How do you get the attention of the audience? You've seen the different kinds of strategies. We've watched some speeches. Remember the Daryl Johnson speech, where he shows his uniform and how he gets the attention of the audience by saying something, by a visual, by saying something which is kind of jarring, doesn't really fit in. Those are all attention getting strategies. It could be a rhetorical, a startling rhetorical question, something that nobody has thought about, and you have this really powerful question that kind of makes the audience, wake up and listen to you. So there could be several strategies that we've discussed in the attention step. You start with a rhetorical question. You have an interesting anecdote or short story, which is not exactly talking about about your upcoming topic, but in your introduction you can have a little story which is kind of like which arouses the emotions that you want the audience to have, all right, to accept your topic, all right. So you either want to make the audience very cautious, or either you want to raise kind of like a panic in the audience, or you want them to imagine a situation which is wonderful, and then kind of talk about the reality. So there are so many strategies that you can use in the attention seeking and in the attention step. So that's the attention step. Nothing different. There's nothing different that you haven't done in your informative speech. The second step is actually by far the most important step in a persuasive speech. This is called the need step. I did discuss with you in my last video for this segment, for the week 5 segment. I talked to you about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and you got to think about this as, and I think I mentioned it to you, is that when you are doing a persuasive speech, you got to think of yourself as a psychologist, all right, as a person who is 1 second class. I just want to put this live, okay. So as a psychologist, a person who knows the mind of the audience very well, all right? So that's what you got to do. You need to know the mind of the audience, the mind slash the need of the audience. And I discussed with you in my last video is, that human beings have several kinds of needs, okay? And Abraham Maslow just made it easier for us by categorizing it into different departments, and also categorizing it into the intensity of how much the importance of needs are. In terms of priorities, he prioritizes the different kinds of needs, okay? So in the second step, going back to Monroe's motivated sequence, that is the step of need, all right? This is where you tell me you tell the audience that there is something that is missing in their lives, or there is something that they need to pay attention to, because if they don't, it is going to affect their lives. It is not only going to affect their lives, their lives, the lives of the audience. It's also going to impact their children's life. It's going to impact their family's life, their friends' lives. It's going to have an impact. You can say how soon it is. Either you can say that the impact is going to be immediate, or you can say that the impact will be felt not now, maybe 5 or 10 years later. Depends upon your strategy. But you got to, in the needs section is the most important section in a persuasive speech, because that's where you are talking to the audience, you're getting to their mind and telling them and figuring out what is that you are touching them at a place which is very very is sensitive for them, because you know that this is a need that the audience member has. Perhaps give you an example here. If you are persuading an audience to let's say wear masks at all times, and making that a law that any time we go out in public, you got to wear masks. So you know that according to the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that there is a need for us to feel safe. There is a need for us to protect ourselves, and you're tapping into that need. So what you do is you kind of, you say how important that need is. You talk about, their safety issues, the children's safety. You're talking about, how their, parents can get sick if they don't take precautions. So you kind of tell them that this is a need, not only in terms of your health, in terms of your children's health. It is also a need because we need to stop this pandemic, because it's going to, sooner or later, it's going to affect your job. You may lose your job. You may lose your house. So you got to, whatever the problem is that you are talking about, you got to make it larger than life. You got to tell them how it's going to affect the audience, not only in terms of health. Try to touch in on different aspects of their life. In socially, it's going to affect them. Health-wise, it's going to impact them. Financially, it's going to impact them. They may lose their house. So you create that need. Okay, so that's one of the most important steps in a persuasive speech, is to create that need, connect with the audience, figure out what the need is, and create that need. Okay, that's the second step. The third step, when you've established the need for your idea, is when you've established the need for them to embrace either your idea or your product, or you buy your product, or embrace your philosophy. Once the need has been established, you kind of show that, if you don't do these things, like you talk about the problem, right? Once you've established the need and they're like, now, okay, we are in this situation where we need to fix it, right? So then you say that here in the third step, which is the satisfaction step, that's when you come up with your idea and say that, what, there's this need, this is what you want. I know that my idea will fix your problem, will fix your need, will respond to your need. So that's the third step, is the satisfaction step. Just as the name is, the attention step, the need step, and the satisfaction step. That's when you come up with your idea. That's when you tell them that you buy my product, buy my home insurance, and all the things that I've been talking to you about, your house being in a flood zone, your house, having so many other issues with plumbing and all of that is going to be covered. This my home insurance is a foolproof, fully comprehensive plan. All right. So you go and then you present your product. You present an idea. You can present a thought or a philosophy as a panacea or as a solution to the problem that you described in step 2, which is need/problem. All right. So that's the third step. The fourth step is which we call is visualization. All right. Once you establish your product, your thought, your idea, your philosophy in the third step, in the fourth step, what you do is in the fourth step, you talk about how it's going to work out for them. So you kind of, just like the name suggests, visualization, you kind of give them a picture. So you can start with something like, imagine yourself, all right? Or visualize, imagine. So you kind of you start with these words and kind of give them a picture of what it would be like if they buy your product or if they embrace your idea. All right. So then you can do both. Okay. So you can either do positive visualization or like negative visualization, or like a compare contrast method where you try both. So you remember that a typical audience psychology is that nobody wants to delve into too much of negative thoughts for a long time. So you may begin with a negative reinforcement, like saying that, you know what, if you don't buy this, then you may be at a danger of these things, all right? Or and you don't dwell on it. You don't keep telling them the negative thing. They make it quick, make it like a maybe 20 to 30 seconds in a 5 minute speech, not more than that. And then you get into the positives, okay? Because people want to see what all the positives that will happen when they embrace your product. So then you say that these are the things that's going to happen if you buy my home insurance, or if you say yes to mandatory masks, or if you say yes to universal legalization of marijuana, whatever it is, whatever you're talking about. So, and these are the good things that will happen. So help them visualize. Okay, so you're in the fourth step, you're helping them visualize. Again, you maybe begin with the negatives that will happen if they do not buy your product, and then maybe then you talk about the positives, and they kind of do a compare contrast method. If you just want to show them all the positives, that's also fine. And you don't want to show them all the negatives that will happen if they don't buy. I mean, I don't think that's a helpful strategy. All right. So that's the first, second, third, fourth. That was the fourth one, right? Which is visualization. The final step is called the action step. All right. So the action step is where it just you in a sales, those of you who are into sales and marketing, now you will know this phrase, you close the deal, you close it. Did you close it? You must have heard that. So that's what you do when your speech, when you want the audience to go back home. Did they buy your idea, or did they buy your product? So you'll see that, you must have seen these commercials, like they have the last minute thing that, okay, guys, if you buy this right now, this is what we are giving. And they have the same strategy. They'll do that. If you buy it now, if you buy, then, this product actually costs $100. And if you buy it now, we will be giving you a 50% discount. Okay, then you'll be able to get it for $50. And guess what? Even better, and we are going to give you a free gift, all right, which is about another $20. This will come with that. And then guess what? You have a free subscription for 3 months for this. Okay, so it kind of, they put pressure on you to buy it right now. Otherwise, you're making the biggest mistake of your life. So it's similarly, in this speech situation, you got to close the deal. You got to ask them to make an action, commit themselves to your idea. So it could be either, if it's a philosophical idea, maybe try to try to join an organization where sign up for a new organization. You ask them to, if you're persuading them to join an organization, you give them the sign up sheet. If you're asking them to enact, you basically go to your congressman, and if you're asking them to adopt a policy that you're suggesting, then maybe get them together and ask them to sign a petition that you can take it to the congressman. So all of these things, it has to be something where they act on it. Okay, so you got to you just like a sales thing. You go, how did you close on it? So that's one of the things. If you see in a persuasive speech, it's like a crescendo. It's like it really picks up pace, and it's at the action step. It is at the highest. So even in terms of your vocal modulation, that's where you really got to peak. Okay. So those are the 5 steps: the attention step, the need step, the satisfaction, the visualization, and the action step. This is exactly, this is how it has been reinforced by this professor. I really liked her YouTube, and I'm just going to play it for you. You can watch it, or you can watch it here, or you can watch it by your, later on when you're doing this, but I can just play it for you. Here we go. Did I do it here? Yes. Okay, let me just, excuse me, 1 minute.
to you a little bit about Monroe's motivated sequence. Monroe's motivated sequence is a wonderful organizational pattern that we use for persuasive speeches that are specifically designed for speeches where you want your audience to do something, where you're asking them to take an action. So Monroe's motivated sequence was developed back in the 1980s by Monroe. That's why we call it Monroe's motivated sequence. Sometimes you'll hear people talk about it and they'll refer to it just as Monroe's or just as motivated sequence. It's Monroe's motivated sequence. It has 5 steps to it. They're very easy to follow. The first step of Monroe's motivated sequence is the attention step. And the attention step is basically an introduction, okay? The second step in Monroe's motivated sequence is the need step. The third is the satisfaction step.
I just want to see whether I'm still being, 1 second. Yes, I'm live. I just wanted to check. I said, okay, I don't see it going live. So what happened? Okay. I am sorry for this interruption. Sorry. Okay.
And the fourth is the visualization step. And last but certainly not least, and so important, is the action step, or sometimes they refer to it as the call to action. Now, the attention step is similar to what we've seen before. It's basically an introduction. An introduction has 5 components to it. The first thing that you always do in an introduction is you open with impact. So come out with a big statement, something that gets the audience's attention, something that hooks us. You always want to be a little bit louder in the open with impact than the rest of your speech because you're getting the attention of the audience. So very important to think about that open with impact statement, very first thing you're doing. The other 4 components of the attention step, the middle 3 can go in any order. The last one is always a preview of the main points. It's a little bit less important with this particular speech pattern. You don't want to be as clear as you would be with an informative speech as you would be with this one. You would want to be clear with an informative speech. You don't have to be as clear with the persuasive pattern using Monroe's. But you do want to preview at least vaguely. The 3 things in the middle of an introduction that always happen. Number 1 is a thesis statement. Number 2 is a connect with the audience connection. The third one is speaker credentials, explaining your credibility to the audience. These 3 things are in the middle of your introduction. So first thing, open with impact. Last thing, preview the main points. These 3 in the middle, you can change the order. It can go whatever order you want for the thesis, the audience connection, and the speaker credentials. The important thing is that you have them there. You want to change the order of those up to depend on what makes the most sense for your presentation with your open with impact and how that leads into your main points. But the attention step, all it is an introduction. Same thing that we've done with informative speeches, same thing that we do with other persuasive speeches. Nothing big there, just fancy name, attention, very fancy, for the first step of the sequence. These middle steps here, these 3 right here, this is actually the body of your speech. So if you're thinking about this kind of from the frame of an informative speech, is that this is the body. So these are your 3 main points. So not a whole lot has changed with this either. Your 3 main points, and like I always say, American audiences love the number 3. You want to have 3 main points for your speech. You want to say them 3 times during your speech. Say them once during the introduction, when you preview your main points. Say them another time during the body of the speech, when you're explaining each one in further detail. And then you want to say it a final time during the action step when you're restating the main points in the conclusion. And that's all really action step is a conclusion. But let's talk about the body of speech. So we've got main point 1, main point 2, and main point 3. These always go in this order. You cannot change the order of Monroe's motivated sequence. That's really important. There's been a lot of research about that where people have switched up the order. Does not work as well. The need step, all the need step is an explanation of the problem. So really, this is the problem step. So when you're thinking about problem solution pattern for persuasive speaking, that's the need step, the problem step and problem solution, same thing as the need. So you're defining what the problem is. You're explaining why the problem is something that's important. You're relating it to the audience, explaining why we need to care about this problem. So you want to make sure that you have strong audience connection in the need step. One thing that you'll also see in the need step is this huge need for oral citations. You need to have balanced oral citations, make sure that they're from lots of different sources, make sure they're from both internal and external sources, internal meaning from within the organization that you're speaking on behalf of, and external meaning that they're from other sources that you can pull from, other research sources, maybe the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, things of that nature. So thinking about balancing those sources. But you're going to have lots of sources here. In the past, I've talked to people about the importance of being aware of citation clumping, where you have all of your oral citations supporting one main point. In this particular pattern, it lends itself to citation clumping. So if you find yourself having most of your oral citations during the need step, perfectly fine. You're good. No problem there. The important thing is you want to firmly establish that we have this need in our society that we need to be concerned about, okay? Something that we need to solve, a problem. You want to very clearly define that related to the audience. The second one is the satisfaction step. And the satisfaction step is where you provide the solution. So problem solution, there we go. You're explaining what exactly you want us to do. And you want to be specific, one single solution. You don't want to provide a whole bunch of different ideas of things that we can do to help the Humane Society. Choose one. You need to narrow and focus to that one thing that you want your audience to do. If you provide us with a bunch of different ideas about how to help the Humane Society, maybe you're going to say donate money, adopt a pet, spay or neuter your own animals. Those are all great ideas, but nobody's going to do them. Okay? I should say nobody. A lot of people aren't going to do them if you provide too many solutions. So when we're talking about the solution, you want to make sure it's nice and narrow. You want to make sure that it's something that it applies to the audience, that everybody in the audience can do this. And it relates to us. It's something it's practical that we can do. But you don't want to throw too many ideas at us, because if you throw a bunch of ideas at us, what we do as an audience typically is we smile, we nod, we go, oh, these are all great ideas. Yes, yes, we should do this. We should spay and neuter our pets. We should adopt a pet. We should donate to the Humane Society. All important things to do. Do we do anything at all, though, after the speech? No. That is a problem. So you want to make sure that you're driving the audience in large numbers to do something. And if you want to do that, you have to narrow it to one single thing that you want us to do. And so that's really the focus of your presentation, the solution that you want us to implement. The third main point in Monroe's motivated sequence is really simple. And a lot of times people get confused by this whole visualization step. All it is where you're imagining the solution as reality. And I should say that there are three different ways to go about the visualization. That's one of them. That's called the positive method. So there are three methods for using the visualization step. You've got the positive method, the contrast method, and the negative method. So I'll talk about the positive method first. Positive is really effective. It's where you talk about the solution in action. We have done this. What has happened? How is society better? How do you feel better about yourself, about your engagement in society as a result of putting this solution into reality? And so you want to make sure that you think about how this is going to affect the audience, how people are going to implement it, how they're going to be affected by it with the visualization step. And then you want to explain that to the audience. The important thing with the visualization step, no matter which method you use, you always start out with a word that prompts people to visualize. So that could be imagine, it could be visualize, it could be picture this. So it's making us create an image in our brain where we see this, where we imagine it as reality. So visualization step, first way to do it, positive method, talking about positive solutions. You're a good audience, you put the solution into action. This is how we're going to make things better. Second way to do the visualization step, negative. So this is where you say, imagine you decided that, you listened to my speech today, but you don't have time for that. I just don't have time to go and help this organization. I just can't do that. And you dismiss them. Well, what happens now? And so it's kind of beating somebody with a stick. So you're saying, so imagine you say, oh, it'd be a great idea to go and adopt a pet, but you think, I don't want to deal with a pet. Pet's just not useful, and you're kind of selfish like that. You just don't want a pet, and I don't want to deal with all that. I don't have time for that. It's not a good thing. And creates this very negative picture of the audience. And the audience usually does not react well to the negative method. They get defensive and they get angry with the speaker. Oftentimes, be careful. I would not use the negative method. That is the least effective of the three ways that you can use a visualization step. The only reason I even talk about the negative method is because it is helpful in explaining the contrast method. Contrast method is very simple. You're contrasting the negative and the positive. The important thing with the contrast method, though, is you always want to start with the negative, make it short. Don't get too much into it. Don't get the audience angry with you. Before they have a chance to get angry, go say, no, that's not the type of person you are. You're not like that. You're not going to do that. And switch into that positive and say, this is the type of person you are, and this is what you did, and this is how it changed, okay? So it has a much nicer appeal to it. So we've got three methods for the visualization step, always starting with a word that prompts us to think about this solution, okay? Whether or not we put it in a reality or not. But thinking about how we use this solution, how we think about this speech. Always starting with a word like visualize, picture this, imagine. Three different ways to do it: positive, negative, which I would not recommend, and contrast method. Positive and contrast method, very effective methods to use. Again, contrast method, make sure that that negative part's real short. You don't want to get the audience angry with you. The last part of Monroe's motivated sequence is a conclusion, but it's a conclusion with a nice twist to it. So do keep that in mind. The action step or call to action, which is often mentioned as this particular step, is a conclusion. It has the same components as a conclusion for the informative speech. So you're going to restate your thesis. You're going to restate your main points. You're going to create closure. You're possibly going to recircle to that open with impact, which creates that beautiful circular feeling. And it's like, this nice sense of closure is a good thing. But the important thing about the action step is you don't stop there. You add one more thing. And this is what makes it an action step and not just a conclusion. And this is really what makes it a persuasive speech. Okay? So when you have this action at the end, where the last thing that you should say is you should say what exactly you want us to do. You want to be forceful. You want to create urgency, why we need to do this now. And you want to tell us, we're all going to do this and we're going to do it today. Okay? And you always want to get a little bit more energetic and a little bit louder. So with an informative speech, we often have this pattern of like the energy level of a speech where, let's say, this is the beginning of the speech, this is the end, and here we have the energy level. Energy, did I get on the screen? Energy. There we go, that's it. We got the energy level. With a informative speech, what we often have, and the informative I'm going to do in green, is at the beginning of the speech, it starts high because you're open with impact. You have a lot of high energy, high impact stuff, and it kind of goes like that. And that's kind of the energy level, kind of at the end. And it has this nice at the end. With the persuasive speech, particularly with Monroe's, I'm going to use pink to demonstrate the energy level of Monroe's. You want to start high, and then you're going to kind of dip in the middle during your main points, and then you're going to end higher than you started with. You're going to end with more energy. You're going to use larger gestures. You're going to be louder in the end than you are in the beginning. Okay, so you want to think about the energy level, and that important thing makes it an action step. You're creating urgency. You're telling us to do it now. You're ending up really high. And I'll show you some examples of that so you can see that action step in action and make sure that you've got that good to go. But keep in mind that without that call to action at the very end, that last thing you do, this is really an informative speech. You have to have that last part, that creating urgency, making sure that you're being a little bit forceful, excited, getting the audience motivated. If you don't have that, you basically have an informative speech. So you have to have it. And when I say you have an informative speech, you're informing, let's go through it real quick. We've got attention step, same thing as the informative speech. We've got three main points. One, you're informing the audience about the problem. Two, you're informing the audience about the solution. Three, you're telling us the consequences of action versus inaction. That's informative. You get an action step, you're restating your thesis, you're restating your main points, you're creating closure. Informative. What makes it persuasive is that persuasive call to action. That's the very last thing you do. So that is absolutely critical for making this particular pattern work. So hopefully you've learned a lot about Monroe's motivated sequence, and you can put all of this into action and have a really fantastic speech experience. Get the audience motivated, get them to really act upon what you need them to do, and be successful in your presentation.
All right, I think I have to turn this off, otherwise it's going to, 1 second, yeah, I'm good. All right, so yeah, so I talked to you about Monroe's motivated sequence. The video that you watched will, that you just watched was also, talking about the same concept. Hopefully now you have a little bit of a visual, just it supplements what I just said. So going back to what you need to do, going to your thread here. So again, this is discussion question 1. You just watched Monroe's motivated sequence, and you got to watch this this whole speech here, which is this speech, this one, and I'm going to put it on this one here. Yeah. So this is the one you need to watch, and I kind of give you an overview about this speech. So once you watch this speech, this whole speech is about 19 minutes long. Once you watch this speech, you should be able to tell me how did he get the attention? How did Sir Ken Robinson get the attention of the audience? How did he talk about the problem, the need/problem? What was the need that he talked about? How did he present it as a problem? How did he connect with the audience there? How did he make the need relevant to the audience? And then what idea did he ask you to adopt? Okay, what was his satisfaction step? What idea did he ask you to? What position did he ask you to adopt? And then if you see that there is a visualization step where he says that these are the good things that will happen if you adopt the idea that he's talking about, in this case, whether schools kill creativity or not. That's what he was discussing, and you should be able to tell me what was what was his claim in this whole persuasive speech, and what his claim was, and when he said what was his claim or what was his idea, that needs to come in the satisfaction. So satisfaction step, what was he talking about? What was his claim? What side did he take? Yes or no? And then did he, how did he do visualization? What did he say that will happen? What are the good things that will happen if you adopt his idea? What are the negative things that will happen if you do not accept his idea? How did he create that kind of visualization? And did he ask us to take an action? And if so, what action did he ask us to take? So just that, and you go to watch this speech. It's about, as I mentioned, it's a 19-minute speech, one of the most popular speech which on TED Talk so far. And yeah, that's what you need to do. Once you do that, I'm going to share the screen with you and create this one for you right in front of you. Here we go, and go to Go React. Not this one, sorry. I was working on this one for a class today. So, all right, goreact.com. And so it's logged me out again. So log in. Oh gosh, goodness. Browser update. Okay. So once you are done with the attention step, the need step, satisfaction, and visualization and action step, based on what you heard in Sir Ken Robinson's speech, you're going to tell me what were the 5 steps that were used in second year class. Then you need to go to Go React, as I have mentioned. You need to go to Go React and tell me what was your stand. Do you really think, what was your stand, whether school whether school kills creativity or not. So you either tell me, yes, it kills creativity. I would like to know why. Why do you think it kills creativity? And you've got to give me a 5 minute persuasive speech on that. Why do you think schools kill creativity? And if you think that schools do not kill creativity, why do you think it doesn't kill creativity? You've got to tell me that in your video, which you will be doing here, and they have you. I'm just going to create an assignment and say, sir, okay, school creativity. All right, here we go. And this should be due on November 21st by 5 p.m. again. All right. So that's what you need to do. Here we go. Sorry, here we go. 1 second here. 5. All right, so 21st November by 5 p.m. Yep. So I've created this. You'll see school. Oh, my goodness, I made a spelling mistake. 1 second here. Certainly, okay. Yep, so you can see that this is here. This is due November 2020, November 2020, 21st November, which is the Saturday. You need to go and tell me, go here and record your speech and give me a 5-minute speech on whether you think that school kills creativity or not. So it either is, yeah, you say yes, and then tell me what your argument is, back it up with, you know, whatever sources you think is a good fit. Either it could be, you know, your personal sources, how you feel through your own experiences, a little bit, not too much, because now you now need to navigate credible. Now you need to navigate it with some more external sources, where you know, you have to tell me about research that has been done on this area. Some other you know, some more sources where you've got to string it all together as an oral citation in your within your speech when you're talking, just within your speech. Okay. So yeah, so I'm not really looking for a Monroe's, you know, for you to use Monroe's motivated sequence as a template here in this speech. You can just, you know, any free form. All right. I want you to have fun with this and see whichever form. You could either do a problem solution where you say, you know, that this is the problem and the solution. Or you can anything that is basically giving you a you know, free choice of adapting to any template, any way, shape, or form that you need to use in order to persuade me or the audience to say that, yeah, either schools kill or schools do not kill creativity. I need to know your stand and I need to know how you're arguing. Okay. Later on, when we next week, we're going to see how we're going to work on this model. So when you're doing your persuasive speeches, then I will ask you to use Monroe's motivated sequence. Not for this one. This one, you can do anything that you want. I just need to hear your stand on it. Okay. All right. Okay. So with this, I think I will end the conversation here. So as usual, you can, if you have any questions, please contact me, and I'll be happy to talk to you. All right. Thank you. Bye.